I don't know why I did this.
Is what a lot of people would say when they make videos like this. I know why I did this. I was curious. And I've heard curiosity kills cats. And I didn't want that. But enough preamble. Let's see how fast you can get each trophy in the Paper Mario 1000 Year Door remake for the Nintendo Switch from the Nintendo Switch family of systems made by Nintendo.
Wow! Incredible!
The game starts pretty normal, no special rewards or trophies, life is pretty good. So let us just fast forward to Chapter 3. And then let's fast forward a little more to the end of the chapter. Wait, stop. Right there. Champs Belt. Rightfully mine. And yet, when you defeat Grubba and save Glitzville from its murderous underbelly, they just take it away. What's worse, they don't allow you back in, despite telling you you're welcome anytime. Just not this specific time, I guess. Now, at what point can we get our belt back? Well, we take the blimp, and we take it back. We're allowed back in because they immediately realized that Mario brought in like 99% of the profits since things apparently didn't look good for the like 5 minutes we were gone. Fight our way back up, and boom. First trophy, belt. Wow. So, the earliest you can get the Champs Belt is right before the Chapter 3 Peach email. Does that mean we're done in Glitzville? Yes. Or that's what I thought, at least. Story time. I was always under the impression that all you needed to do in order to fight Prince Mush is solve Jolene's trouble and then wait an indeterminate amount of in-game time for some emails. So I went out to solve Jolene's trouble and started the big wait. After an unspecified yet acceptable amount of time, I received Jolene's email. But the same thing didn't seem to happen for much as I made a come back, come get some email. And I waited for a long time. I counted, and I can count like super high. A bit confused, I decided to check my most trusted source on Paper Mario information, Mario Wiki. There it said, in order to get Mush's email, you need to beat Chapter 4 and take the Ruby Star to the titular door. That just didn't feel right to me. Why would they arbitrarily log the Mush fight behind Chapter 4 of all things, and not just the post-game at that point? Like, not to brag, but like, I've played this game a couple of times, and I've noticed you do tend to receive optional emails after putting in Crystal Stars and then talking to Frankly. So I thought to myself, what if exiting Frankly's house is an email trigger? I mean, it definitely sounds silly, but why not give it a shot? I enter and exit Frankly's, and sure enough, there it is! Mail. Look, I know. This is the strangest way to make this work, but the earliest you can face Mush is, in fact, right after Chapter 3. I just think the devs didn't specifically care how early you can unlock the Mush battle. Who would do it this early anyway? There's not even a real reward. But yeah, I am who would do. So I went to go do. I don't know if you were expecting me to go deep into my Mush strategy, but like, he's not that bad. There's like 10 million ways to cheese him. I really didn't think about it that hard. What I did do is equip Charge, which is the primo cheese. Truly stinky, like Gorgonzola. So while this battle is very reminiscent of hard mode mods, they would never allow this amount of smell. Horribly pungent, ripe. Anyway, I beat Mush and got his belt. Interesting that out of all of them, this Super Boss trophy is like one of your earliest ones. Our next trophy is not in Chapter 4. It is also not in Chapter 5. Well, I mean, kind of. We're just doing some light setup. You know where this is going. We're beating the pit. Twice. Beat Bonetail, get a badge. Owned! And no, I don't consider return postage a trophy. It's a badge. If you really want to get it as soon as possible, all you need is the paper curse from Hooktail Castle. Go ahead, do a Preoctal Pit. It's fun. Like, actually, I like Preoctal Pits. They're not too challenging. They're actually just the right amount of fun. To be fair, I probably should have done it earlier because now I have to wait for the Whacka email. Same deal as Mush though. Beat Bonetail, pet Whacka 8 times, wait an arbitrary amount of time, and visit Frankly. Email. Go to the pit and skip to floor 50 for the second run. And I just gotta say it, I have to address the blue cute mole-like elephant in the room pit floor. Whacka clearly enjoys this. You can finally rest easy knowing you never did anything wrong. And that's our third trophy. The halfway mark has been attained. Or, depending on how you look at it, we haven't even started. I guess technically none of these were trophies. The game only has 3 actual trophies by name. There's one for completing the badge log, one for the recipe list, and one for the TATTLE log. Let's get into it. The TATTLE trophy is the most simplest? Highest amount of ease of understanding its way of obtaining. TATTLE all enemies. I've been doing that this entire time. A crazy concept, I don't have access to all enemies yet. So that one's off the table for a while. Next in line for the arbitrary order that I decided for this video is the cooking trophy. Yum. TTYD has tons of unique recipes and like 5 of them are objectively useful. What is still blocking us from cooking every recipe? You might be thinking fresh pasta, since it's only available in Partially Heights. Good guess, but you actually do not need to buy fresh pasta at all to finish the recipe list. When cooking a mystery, it has a 50% chance of becoming a non-mistake item. Hello? Do you want to say hi to everybody? He's behind the camera. This is... I'm gonna get him. I don't... So do you want to say something? Go ahead. Do you also want to say hi? Here's a second tiny gremlin. Anyway, cooking a mystery, 50% chance of getting item. One of the items it can become is spaghetti. And then you can just add the requirements for the special pasta dish. Though you're probably still better off coughing up the dough. The dough for fresh pasta. Dough. Since it would get really annoying to keep cooking mysteries for like the 2 to 3% chance of getting a spaghetti. So hey, good thing there's another item blocking us from cooking all recipes. Hot sauce. I'll try that again. Hot sauce. The prototype. Or whatever he calls it. I don't remember. Only becomes available after finishing the Business Master's Trouble. And this trouble becomes available right after Chapter 6. So we just shlabang smorg and make a board post smorg. Wow. Why did I write that? I finished the recipe list. Yeah. Trophy. I got it. It's hard for me to admit this, but I may have lied a little. The reason I started with the cooking trophy is because, quite obviously, it was the first one we had access to next. Some of you who know tons about the game may have been wondering why I wouldn't be able to finish the badge log. You're pretty impatient, you know that? You might want to leave a comment saying you're sorry. Thank you. But you're right! Most, if not all enemies, have a chance of dropping badges. But not all badges are created equal. only some badges can be obtained from random enemies. It'd be super weird if enemies could drop extra copies of non-stackable badges, right? You know what? Yeah, it would be. They would be completely useless, aside from selling them, I guess. It's a good thing the developers made it impossible to get extra copies of non-stackable badges, right? Nope. And of course it had to be Piercing Blow, the sneaky bastard. You can get multiple copies of Piercing Blow from spiky parabuzzies. No, they don't stack. They're useless. This was the case in the original GameCube release, and still the case in the remake. And you know what? It makes me even more angry in the remake because of how they changed the hammer throw. They made hammer throw pierce defense. Cool. So it's a better piercing blow? Nope, can't have that. That would be broken. So let's just make hammer throw have a base damage of 2. Always, no matter which hammer upgrade you have. Guys, the solution was right there. You could have just hammer throw and piercing blow. Call it piercing throw. I don't care what you call it. Have it scale with hammer upgrades. Still wouldn't make it good, but it'd be usable. A niche but neat and warranted change to hammer throw. Then you can just make spiky parabuzzies drop piercing blow, throw, show, schmo, because yes, hammer throw does stack. It doesn't stack well, but at least it does something. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so no enemies drop non-stackable badges. And there's 2 of those available right in the middle of chapter 7. Feeling fine, and open parentheses, P closing parentheses. That's what I wrote, so that's what I'm sticking to. And that's it for all the unique obtainable badges in this chapter. Looking at our badge log, we only need 2 more badges, both of which are found in badge blocks in chapter 8. First one is P up D down P. Actually, it's the second one, but shut up, this is gonna flow better. Those familiar with the game know getting a P up P early won't be an issue. We're in the right place even. Elite X-Nauts have about a 1 in 150 chance of holding one. That might sound like a low chance, but it's really not in the grand scheme of things. This specific encounter has 4 of them. That's 5. 4. All of which have the chance of holding said badge. You can just keep resetting this battle by leaving the room and re-entering. That way, you'll have a P up P in no time. Or you can be just like me and get a random P up drop while running through the fortress. It's not the right one, but yeah. You don't need to know the odds of this happening. Yet. When it came down to the actual badge hunt, one of them was holding one after my first room reset. Wow! I must be so lucky, right? The last badge needing to be obtained is all or nothing. You know, I don't think I've ever seen anyone with an extra copy of all or nothing. I'm sure it has happened. Might have even happened to you. I've just never heard of anyone getting it. And that is for a good reason. All or nothing gets dropped by 2 enemies. Darkraws and Tarantulas. Now, you might be thinking, hey, that doesn't sound that bad. Sure, they're relatively late in the pit, but you have a nice skip to floor 50 in the remake. If it's anything like the X-Nauts, one of them is going to be holding the badge sooner or later, right? Notice how I said all or nothing gets dropped by 2 enemies? That's right, they never hold it. So you can't just steal it with mouse and be on your merry way. If they were able to hold it, This would almost be too easy in the remake, because you can actually reset the room, and therefore the encounter. How? With this handy dandy new retry feature. It completely resets the room. So close to a near freebie. Strap in, it's only gonna get worse. And this might get a bit technical. But first, we need to talk about drop rates. Also, huge thanks to JDextra64 for all his research into anything and everything TTYD. In Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, enemies have a 1 in 4 chance of dropping an item they were holding. Whether they used it or not doesn't matter. They also have a 1 in 4 chance of rolling for a drop from their random item pool. More on that later. The other 50% of the time, they drop a big old sack of nothing. However, in the Pit of 100 Trials and the Pit of 100 Trials only, items and badges have a lower chance of dropping. The odds for a held and random drop get bumped down to 1 in 5 each, and your chances of getting nothing are a 3 in 5. To make badge hunting in the pit just that much more enjoyable. So, you want to raise your chances, right? Introducing a badge hunter's best friend, Item Hog. Yes, badge and item drops are treated as the same thing. How it works is pretty simple. Item Hog adds weight in the favor of the held and random drop rates while leaving the chance of getting nothing alone. If you remember, in the pit both rates were 1 in 5. You add 1 weight to the held drop rate and 1 weight to the random drop rate, while leaving the nothing stack alone because nobody likes it and it's stinky should go sit in the corner, go away. What you end up with is a 2 out of 7 odds of getting a held item drop and a 2 out of 7 odds of getting a random item drop. Another fun part of this is that Item Hog does stack, though getting more of them is not the easiest. Still easier than all or nothing though. If you do end up getting more copies, the equation is the exact same. 2 copies make for a 3 in 9, 3 in 9, and 3 in 9. 3 copies make for a 4 in 11, 4 in 11, and 3 in 11. 4 copies make a 5 in 13, 5 in 13, and 3 in 13, and so on and so forth. Alright, for simplicity, let's say I'm working with 1 Item Hog. I'm in the pit and looking for a random drop. That would mean my odds for getting a random drop are 2 in 7? That doesn't make any sense, I hear you type in the comments, and you would be correct. You don't nearly get a random drop that often. Each enemy has its own weight system and drop rates for random items. They're all different and arbitrary. A Gloomba, for example, has a total weight of 356. Not being brewed, that's just how it is. Then each item in its drop table takes up some of that pie. Getting a random, non-held Fire Flower would be a 20 out of 356. However, the game would only roll for that 20 out of 356 chance when it rolled for the 2 out of 7 for a random drop chance. So the odds of getting a random Fire Flower drop from a Gloomba would be 40 in 2,492, or about a 1.6% chance. Now imagine if that Gloomba was a rarer, stronger late pit enemy, and the, for all intents and purposes, common Fire Flower drop was a very, very rare badge. When looking into things and preparing for this challenge, I knew the badge hunt would probably be the most annoying part, but at the end of the day, it was just 1 copy of 1 badge. Battles wouldn't take long since I could just buy infinity power rushes and lower my max HP to 5. I did not fully understand what I was in for. This leading to me actually having to think about every detail of this hunt and slowly optimizing my strategy. Before I tell you my story, let's have a little game. I started my hunt at level 31. I want you to guess which level I'll be when finally getting all or nothing. How many battles will it take? I start at floor 50 and leave at floor 90, getting a single star point per battle, or at least after like the first 2 runs. 100 battles equals an extra level, and obviously a battle does need to contain a Dark Raw / Tarantula for me to get a chance at the badge. Alright, Leave your guesses in the comments and don't cheat. I see you. That's no fun for anyone. Play along, dang it. And now, the experience. My starting strat was pretty simple. A mindless grind. Skip to floor 50, one-shot all enemies, and use movers whenever they would skip dead floors, like all of the 50s and 70s. This was fine for a while. I personally don't mind a mindless grind when I have a goal like this in mind. Bars. Plus, it's exciting to see whether you'll get some kind of random drop after each battle. I even got a super appeal for my very first Dark Lakitu. That's about the exact same odds as the All or Nothing drop. With luck like that, the hunt would be done in no time. Though it was pretty annoying whenever a mover would show up on an important floor, blocking me from fighting key enemies. It's also pretty painful to see something like a maple syrup drop, because you know the game hit the 2 in 7 chance of rolling for a random drop, but you just picked a more common one. But that's when it happened. About 10 runs in. An Tarantula dropped a pity flower. Same odds as an All or Nothing. So not only was an All or Nothing incredibly rare, the game could also outright troll me by dropping the wrong badge. But in a way, it was kind of nice to see such a rare occurrence on the right enemy this early. And I guess it's about time to lift up the curtain a little on the odds I'm actually working with. As established, if you were paying attention, for which thank you, I have a 2 in 7 chance of rolling for the random drop. Then the odds of an All or Nothing on Tarantulas are 2 in 319. So in total, that's a 4 in 2,233. Or about a 0.18% chance. That is not very high. But what about Darkfrost? Yeah, so their drop rate is a 1 in 340. So for them, you'd be looking at a cool 0.08% chance. I don't... But you know what? Getting a full odd shiny is way harder. Or is it? In these 36 battles, you're only guaranteed 1 Darkra and 2 Tarantulas. I'd say each run can take about 15 minutes, and you can still get blocked by movers. At the end of the day, this isn't hard, just tedious. It could be a lot worse. Bruh. Yeah, at this point in my adventure, I knew I could be in this for the long haul. So instead of sitting down on my PC and recording whenever I wanted to get attempts in, I took my Switch wherever I went to get more opportunities to grind away at this. Then whenever something happened, I could just use the built-in video recording thing on the Switch. That is also why you might randomly see the video quality drop at points. Switch video compression is rough. It also became very clear that I should not have bothered getting the P up in Exnot Fortress. A bunch of random badge drops later, all of which flowed around the same odds as All or Nothing, by the way, it happened. Oh, no, not the All or Nothing drop. We're definitely not there yet. What did happen is that I maxed out my badges. Some of you may not know this, but TTYD does in fact have a limit to the amount of badges you can carry, and that limit is 200. If you pick up another badge after this, much like an item, you're simply prompted to drop a badge. A neat gimmick with this is that a dropped badge won't vanish from the game. It'll move to the badge shop where you can purchase it again if you want to. Though the badge shop will only carry up to 3 copies of each badge. Any extra copies will simply disappear. However, and this is the exciting part, the remake has a bug where any badge that's dropped on the floor will move to the badge shop, even if you pick it back up. So what I did is I dropped my item hog 3 times and bang! 3 extra item hogs to work with. Let's just cut to the chase and say I did this a couple of times. While each extra copy of item hog does have diminishing returns and the benefits become negligible after anything more than 10-ish copies, it's like, I don't know, man. I just wanted the best odds. The most you could ever wear at the same time is 33, giving you a 34 in 71 chance of rolling for that random drop, or just shy of a 48% chance. Wearing only 10 would give you a 44% chance. But I'll take what I can get. So yeah, the next few hours were filled with hog cloning whenever possible. Each copy inching me closer to... Did you know I also got 4 movers in a row? I would also celebrate me hitting the 200 max FP cap, but I don't have footage of it. So from this point onward, I was forced to upgrade HP and could no longer run Permadanger. Great! I was feeling a bit neglected by the game, so I was looking for anything to improve my chances. And that help came in the form of Jade Acer again. More technical talk! Yeah! In the original Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, the way enemies drop random items is deceptively simple. The game will only ever consider the frontmost enemy's item table. So even if you're fighting this loadout with 1 Dark Bristle and 3 Tarantulas, you can never get a random drop from the Tarantulas. But in the remake, they made it work way more intuitively. Every single enemy that's part of a battle can be considered for a random drop, and it is very much in the player's favor. Once the game rolls for a random item to be dropped, it'll check each enemy from left to right until an item gets chosen. If the first enemy ends up dropping nothing, it'll just move on to the second enemy, and so on. Once it successfully rolls for an item, the sequence is stopped and that item drops. If all enemies roll a dud, you get nothing. This does mean you have a lower chance of getting item drops from enemies further back, but it's way better than not having them be considered at all like the original game. Now, what does this mean for my efficiency plan? I am so glad you asked. Every floor in the 80s, besides 85 and 89, can potentially have tarantulas in their loadouts, and quite a few of them at that. So every time the battle didn't have any, I would game over and retry. This allows me to reroll the loadout on any floor I know tarantulas can appear, maximizing my chances for the coveted all or nothing. Though I didn't do the same for Dark Raws, since for one they're rarer, and they're way less plentiful when they do appear. I would even start skipping their floors with movers just to get to the 80s as fast as possible. Considering all of these optimizations, I would have just over a 1% chance of getting an all or nothing drop in a fight with 4 tarantulas. It would only be a matter of time before...
What you doing there, Bill? Satellite dish trouble?
No, I'm just up here to kill myself.
But then, it finally did happen. Legit extra item hog, baby! Woo! Oh, and then like 10 runs later, I got all or nothing. With my level being 79. Only 20 levels off the max. And I think we all learned an important lesson today. The video about TTYD trophies got kinda hijacked there for a while. But I know you never lost sight of what's important. You're determined. What about the TATTLE trophy? Return to Chapter 7, Tattle Magnus, get 2 star points, go back to Riverside because I didn't have the Poison Pokey Tattle for some reason, walk through Chapter 8 with Bump Attack equipped, don't forget to tattle the Bombshell Bills and Blasters, get all or nothing the intended way and take some emotional damage, tattle and beat every boss, not even earning enough star points to level up despite only needing 18 of them, stand in front of the final door and wonder why you only have 130 out of 134 tattles. Walk back, tattle Bombshell Bill and Blaster, and you're good to fight the final boss. Since you need to tattle both phases to complete your log, it's a surprise to nobody that there is no way to get the TATTLE trophy any earlier. Or is there? No, there's not. For a second there, I had slight hope you could tattle and then game over and keep them, since getting a game over also spawns a pipe to go back, but alas, no such luck. One more interesting part is that you never get notified about your TATTLE trophy And like, you do have the email, you just never got the notification. I guess the game just kind of implied Mario got it back in the Mushroom Kingdom or on the boat, or I don't know. Same with the golden medal trophy, actually. And fun fact, it'll only appear once you open up the email. Also, you can't be too close to its spawn point. But then where did the medal come from? Spooky. Alright, so that is about it for this one. I'm just about done editing this video, and I put in way more effort than I thought I would. I really do enjoy making these big, involved videos, but I mean, obviously they take more time. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, I would actually appreciate a like. Maybe share it with somebody who you think might also enjoy it. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Have a great day, and drive safe. Bye.